Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Open Mic Podcast. The Open Mic Podcast is unofficially brought to you by Liquid Death. Whether it's Severed Line, Bury It Alive, or my favorite, Dr. Death, this ain't your average hydration. It's water and it's got edge. So if you're tired of sipping from baby bottles and want to hydrate like a savage, crack open a can and murder your thirst. Liquid Death style, not officially sponsored, but Liquid Death. Give me a call. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. I am your host, and hope everybody had a pretty good week. Hope everybody's having a good day today, whatever day you're listening to this podcast. If you're tuning in, I hope it's the best day of the week. I hope every day above ground is the best day of your life. Because yesterday's history and tomorrow's a mystery and today's a present, and that's why I fucked that up. Today's a gift, that's why it's called the present. I think a lot of us get too caught up in what's going to happen tomorrow to enjoy the day, and then they worry about what happened yesterday. And I get it. Like, we learn from our past, right? And we try to, because they say if we don't learn from our failures or from our past, we're doomed to, like, we'll repeat, right? I don't know, some cliche saying, but if we don't learn from the things we've done in the past and the mistakes we've made, and then we're doomed to repeat itself. History, everything comes back around. But if you don't learn from your mistakes and you don't learn from things you did wrong, eventually they'll keep repeating themselves, and it's just a vicious cycle, and it just kind of goes round and round. It's funny how like this week, we've been doing a lot of reminiscing on this show, and I kind of like that. And I think some of my listeners, going off of feedback I've been getting, you guys enjoy that too. And so, man, who the hell texted me? So I think you guys appreciate that. I like it. You know what I'm saying? I like to reminisce, go down memory lane a lot. And I think a lot of you guys enjoy that as well. The feedback I've been getting. So we'll try to keep, some of that going, each week, talk a little bit about some things from our past and some things from my childhood and things that I did. And I think a lot of my listeners, can, if you didn't grow up, if you're not from my generation, you are from a generation, right? And if we are, every generation has something, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just funny that, like, I hear a lot of people talk about the younger generation today and how, like, they just, I don't know. They're just, a lot of people bitch and complain. Like, they say, the newer generations are lazy. They don't want to work. They're not as intelligent. Like, I hear all this stuff, and we see so many things, so many like fads and things on social media. Like, I remember years ago, like, people were eating Tide Pods. Like, were people really eating Tide Pods? Like, you'd see like 5 videos, and half of those probably weren't real, right? And everybody's like, "Oh my God, this younger generation, I don't know what we're doing. They're eating Tide Pods." Nah, I just don't believe they're eating Tide Pods. But my point is, a lot of people that complain about the generations, they're being raised by us, my generation. So if you're going to complain, right, if you're going to say, our generation, the kids today, well, they're our kids. They're the children that we've, had and raised. And so, I mean, it's like everybody likes to say, oh, such and such is bad because he didn't get his ass beat enough, or his mom, dad didn't spank him enough, or whatever. But yet, if you tell somebody that today, it's like, no, that ain't that. Like, that same person would say that, make that comment about how, such and such is bad because they didn't get a butt whooping enough. And then you tell that person, well, these are your kids, though. This is your generation. It's like you want to pass blame, well, and pass blame on parents Well, then you take some accountability yourself then, and I think that's a problem. I think nobody knows how to take accountability. Nobody knows how to say, "Hey, my fault, my bad. I messed up. That's my problem. I effed up." You know, it's easy to just go through life, make mistakes, make mistakes, burn bridges, do all this, but take some accountability. You know, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but you got to learn from them. And but these generation, you know, they like, you think our parents didn't think that about us? Like, oh my God, listen to this music they're listening to. Like we say, I hear that now. Like, oh man, the rap music today is trash. It's not any good. I would agree. I don't think it's that great either. But it's the music that our children, people my age, their kids are listening to. And I'm sure when we were coming along, when I was a kid, my parents probably was like, "What the hell is he listening to?" You know what I'm saying? Like the metal music and big hair bands and all that from the '80s. You think our parents was like, "Man, this is devil music." Like how many times did we hear that? You play a record backers, it's spawn Satan and all that bull crap. It's like, so we get too tied up, man, like passing judgment basically. We're just judging. And it's it's not fair. It's not fair. Everybody judges, but yeah, it's the younger generation. Everybody says they're lazy, don't want to work. I don't think there's any truth to that. But it could be a byproduct of society, right? Like when COVID hit, in 2000, late 2019, early 2020. I mean, everybody got mandated to stay home, and if you're unemployed, we're gonna pay you more to stay home. Well, it's hard to break that. Like, and that went on for 2 years. COVID was like 2 years. Like COVID's still around, but that whole pandemic and all that, when it was a serious problem, that went on for like 2 years. And I still worked through all that, and I was considered I can't think of the term, but I was the job I was doing, what I do for a living. I was still going to work every day. So but a lot of people weren't. They were laid off or they were furloughed or, a lot of people that weren't working at all. It's like they got paid to stay home. If they were already drawing unemployment, they got more, right? And a lot of people bitched about that. Well, I'm working. I should get hazard pay. I should get hazard pay because I'm going out. And man, the way I tell people is, look, these people that aren't working probably aren't getting any benefits. They don't have stable work. There's a lot of downside to that. But everybody's like, why should they get paid more? Why should they get added money? And I don't really have an answer for that. But I do know, like I hear it all the time, right, from people. Like employers offer you health insurance at a discounted rate, right? And people are like, well, I can make more as a temp employee than I can if I'm hired on full time. And I'll say, yeah, but that temp employee doesn't get any vacation. They don't get any sick leave. They don't get any paid time off. There's no benefits. So they're kind of getting a little bit more money per hour, but they're losing all that. And then the rebuttal is, well, yeah, but I got to pay for my insurance. Yeah, but it's discounted. If you had to go out and get your own insurance, that other than through an employer, it would cost a lot more. And you also have the benefit of you have a full time job, right? Like a temporary job, a temp's job can end any day, anytime, anywhere. And I know, people are like, well, some states are right to work states, right? But you have stable employment if you're a full time employee. If you're working through a temp agency, you don't have that. And you have the benefit of getting benefits and you have, so the people get too caught up, man, looking at the wrong just at the wrong thing. They get too tied up in details that just don't really matter on the grand scheme of things. So um I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't blame kids for being kids or youth for being youth, because every generation, I feel like the older generation can find something they don't like or approve of, or something they can be like, I can't believe y'all did that. I can't believe y'all listened to that crap. So it's, I think we're kind of hard on our younger generations, and maybe it's, some people, maybe we put a little bit too much on them. Maybe we expect more out of them. I don't know. I think uh, maybe we have too many maybe our expectations are too, maybe our bars are too high, right? On some of the kids, maybe it needs to be a little lower. But I could imagine, you know, just saying, man, that music you listen to is crap. The way you dress, that's garbage. I didn't do that back in my, like, I would not want to constantly be compared. And I've probably been victim of this, and I've probably been guilty of doing this. Um, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to have to listen to that all day, because if you're having a bad day or a bad moment, or you're kind of down, that's just gonna make it worse. We talk a lot about mental health. Um, I talk a lot about mental health because it's important to me, because of my mental health struggles and the things I've gone through. And I'm not ashamed to say I go to therapy and I talk to people, and I have close friends that I talk to, and they probably get tired of hearing me. They say they don't, but I feel like I'm a burden. And I'm probably not. That's probably more, that's me in my head. But um yeah, mental health's important, man. And I feel like a lot of people don't come forward because they get made fun of or scrutinized. Or I had somebody tell me one time, when I was telling them I was, kind of depressed. And they're like, "What do you got to be depressed about? Like, you live in this some little town, you got no worries in the world, you got." And I'm like, "Man, depression, it's not about like what you have or where you live, or um material items that you own, or things you bought, or your job, or your money. Or now, some of that can play into it, but if you're just sad, you're just sad. And usually it's something going on upstairs. Like, a lot of people get influenced heavily. um they wear their emotions on a sleeve. And they could watch a video of, like, a lot this day and age, like, a lot of people look at, the turmoil and everything that's going on between Israel and Palestine, and that's been going on forever. And you see videos of, like, children. Nobody wants to see children hurt, man. And I just can't believe, um, can't believe people would. Man, I sound like I'm crying. I'm not. I don't know what's going on. I can't believe people would, like, think that's okay. Like, and it's unfortunate, because it's a byproduct of war and fighting, and innocent people die. More innocent people die in situations like that than the actual people that are targeted, right? And so you see these videos on social media, and the algorithm is funny, because if you click on one video or something, it's going to start sending you things, because it's going to think, oh, this is what this person likes. And I've seen some gruesome videos of children who've been hurt in that Palestine and Israel uh, war. And it's sad. It's sad. That whole situation is sad. Um, like, there's been, times when, like, yeah, I've like read um books and articles from, like, people who were snipers for the US, and they talk about that, like, having to shoot a child, basically, who had an IED strapped to them, that was sent out in the street by a parent, of a terrorist. And it's like, um those people get medals, man, but those people are never. Just think of the mental toll that takes on somebody who's tasked with that job. And they don't have to do it. Nobody's forcing them to. I get it. But just, I don't know. I couldn't do it. There's no way. And I feel bad for the people in those countries who don't have a choice. Everybody's always like, well, if you don't like where you're at, just leave. Well, that's not an option for everybody. And some people truly think it is, and it's not. That's not true. That's simply not true. Those people over there, they just can't up and leave and come to America. Nobody wants them. Like the refugees, and they try to run. They leave the country. I mean, they take their kids, and they got nothing. They got no food. They got no water. They got transportation, and it's just. I wish I had the answer, and I don't. I just know that um, the byproduct of that is people losing their children, and that nobody should have to bury their child because of that. And America likes to step in and get involved in a lot of things, and I'm not always in line with them when they do that. And sometimes I feel like there's times they need to step in and they don't, and they choose the side of um they choose the other side when they should be on the other one. And I just hate to see those videos. I hate to see those things. So I try not to click on them because I don't want to. I'm all over my social media, but it's a reality. It's a harsh reality. A lot of people don't want to admit or don't want to be a part of, and it's sad. And then you have some. I don't remember his name. He was a Republican. I don't know if he was a senator or whatever, but he made some comment recently about dropping a nuke on Gaza, basically just eliminating Palestine and Palestinians. And um, that's probably one of the dumbest things. Like that guy that made that comment, that's one of the dumbest things, man. Like that's such a heartless, thoughtless thing to say. To just drop a nuke. Like I don't know if I don't know how many people here know the history. I mean, we all learn in school, right? But I feel like you only learn so much. And we going back to we dropped two nukes, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and um, I don't know how much people know about that. How much people remember that, like what we learned in school, but Pearl Harbor was attacked, and we decided to. There was some options there, right? And one of the options was, I think Harry Truman. Who was the president then? Johnson, maybe Truman. I can't remember. Um, yeah, it was a Republican. He was a congressman that made that comment. Nuke Gaza into surrender. Back when we was in war, World War. Um, when we nuked Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they attacked Pearl Harbor, and they were going to just drop a nuke on an uninhabited island, right? To just show its devastation and what it can do, thinking, okay, if the Japanese see this, they'll back down. And instead, they chose to drop a nuke. And I don't think people realize what those things do, like the devastation that comes from that. And if people go back and read what, especially the people that didn't die from that like instantaneously, because that's a very realistic that happens if you're in a certain vicinity of where the nuke hits. It's like instant death. um but there was, I've read about this a lot over the years. And um Randy Fine of Florida was the congressman's name. And I don't guess him as a Republican or whatever. He's a Randy Fine. He's a congressman for Florida. Said that they need to nuke Gaza uh, into submission, basically. So if anybody goes back and reads like people who were like in those areas when the nukes were dropped in Japan, like if it didn't kill you instantly, the radiation poisoning, the things it did to your body is just. And there was one specific story I remember. They were talking about people who were basically um there's a river there. I can't remember what it's called, but there was a river in Japan, and I mean it's basically red from blood from so many people from the death, and there's kids and I'm sure adults too who were basically dying of dehydration, and I mean from the radiation, it you can only imagine the toll it took on them. The throats are swelled up, the tongues are swelled, they can't, and because they had no help. Like the city was wiped out basically, and they're drinking water. They're drinking water from this river full of blood because that's all they had because they were basically dying. And that's just one of the stories, and that's a horror story. And I didn't go into detail like I could. Um, but if anybody thinks that is the solution, is to drop a nuke on Gaza, I, I don't know how that guy gets reelected because that's unexcusable, and he come under a lot of scrutiny for it, as he should have. He probably should have got a foot in his ass for it. Honestly, that's not. And I think it came after, I don't know, something happened with the Israeli. Some Israelis were killed in D.C. Maybe I think, and they made this was back in May, and they made those comments, and it's like, yeah, it's just stupid, man. That's just dumb because that's not gonna solve any damn thing. Killing all those innocent people, enough innocent people are dying. And they fight over land. They fight over land that they were there. They were living there. Palestinians were there. Uh, the Jewish people got drove out of Europe after the war. They sent them back over there. There's a whole lot to it. I could make a podcast just talking about the political aspect of all this and the history of it, and I'm not going to get into all that. I just hate to watch children, people bury their kids. Like kids get their legs and arms blown off and their heads blown off, and the parents are like just in hysterical, just shock, standing there holding a child in the street, begging for help, knowing there's no help coming. I just can't. I can't imagine that, and I feel bad for the people who have to go through that. I can't imagine what that's like, and it makes me appreciate where I'm at even more. That I don't have to. I don't have to be brought up in that environment or raise a family in that environment or have to deal with any of that. I'm very fortunate that I don't. And I don't know, man. Stand up for what you believe in. Whether you feel like what you believe in is right or wrong, or no, who cares what anybody else thinks? You stand at what you believe for. Don't let nobody talk you out of it. You got your beliefs. You what you think is right or wrong. Don't let nobody back you down. Now you can be open minded, right? But if someone's always constantly, too many people don't get it. They don't agree with things because they're too busy trying to convince you to see it their way, right? And you can share your points of view on things, but too many people get too tied up and like, I'm going to convince you to see it my way because my way is the right way, and that's never going to end. That's never going to end right, right? Like if you're in a disagreement with someone and you're having that conversation and that's the out, like that's how the two of you think, it's better to just squash it and just move on because it's not gonna go well. Yeah, it's not gonna go well. So, but anyway, that's my thoughts on all that. And going back to mental health, man, too many people get made fun of. You know, as men, if we cry or if we show emotion, everybody thinks it makes you weak. Like you can't possibly be a strong man for your family or whatever if you have these emotions. And that's just simply not true. That's just not true. That's my opinion. I'm not trying to here to convince anybody else. But I can tell you, from someone who has, cried and has emotion, and I'm a very passionate person. Come fuck with me and find out if you think I'm a weak individual, because you'll be on the end of that where you're not. You're gonna be in for a rude awakening, and I think a lot of men are like that. Um, too many opinions and too many men are supposed to be the rock, right? Like and that's true. My dad was the rock of the family, but he was allowed to show emotion. I wouldn't have thought no less of him, and I wouldn't want anybody to think any less of me or anybody else's father or brother or uncle or whoever, just because they choose to not bottle up all their emotions. And we weren't allowed to cry, and if you did, you got smacked harder. And the more you cry, the harder you're gonna get smacked. And that's a bunch of BS, man. If anybody thinks that works, it doesn't work. And the people who've told me, oh, it does work, it worked for you, but that's a small percentage. I can guarantee you that it doesn't work. So I know we started the show off kind of serious today, and that's just things that was on my mind. But I just want to get them off my mind and talk about them. And anybody like to share their thoughts, Open Mic Podcast 76 at outlook.com. Feel free to email me. Share your thoughts for the show. You know, anybody that maybe feel like they have some distress. Maybe they got uh, maybe they don't know where to go, man. Reach out to me, man. I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll put you in touch with someone who can. I don't have the answers, but I can definitely tell you don't have to do it alone. And if you do choose to do it alone, that's fine too. But I feel like a lot of people don't do it alone, because if they do it alone, it ends up being the outlook, the ending is not what we want, right? Um, but yeah, just get help. If you need help, get help. And if you want to email me anonymously and say, hey, I need some help, that's fine. If anybody wants to email me and they don't want it read on the show, you can tell me that too. Just put that as a disclaimer. That's fine. If you just want to share your thoughts, you need some help, you want to reach out, you need a shoulder, to lean on, somebody to talk to, man, I'm always here for that. So, yeah, man, I don't want anybody to feel like there's never any help or any hope, because there is. There's always hope and there's always help. Um, so, but anyway, I don't know, anybody's into sports. There's always a big debate, man, like with sports. We always like to debate who was the best, who was the greatest, who was the GOAT, who was this, who was that, who was the worst. And it's hard, right? Because, like, say football, for instance, it's always, the quarterback or wide receiver or, whatever. So you're trying to say who's the greatest of all time. Well, you have to break that down by position, because that's just how it is, right? And we always think of quarterbacks, but that's because the ball's in the quarterback's hand. They make most of the plays. They're the one dictating a lot of things. So, um, but with like basketball, you could probably have this discussion like every 10 to 15 years. Like, guys played a long time now. But there's always a debate about top five. Who's your top five or your top 10, basketball players of all time? And I had this discussion with a friend of mine this week. When I was a kid, we had the house I grew up in. We had one AC unit that was a window unit, and it was in the front room of the home when you first walked into the house. There was no central air. There was none of that, right? We had one AC unit that was probably in that house before I was born. It was made by Ford. Most people probably don't even know Ford made air conditioners. They just thought they made cars. And that air conditioner was still in that house when I moved out. And that air conditioner was still in that house when my parents decided to sell that house. Um, but we didn't have, the rest of the house was hot. Like, and I remember my mom cooking. We'd put like a sheet or a blanket up because you'd walk in the house and you'd have like a sitting room, the AC, and there was a fireplace in there too. And then you go to the next room. I guess that was like a living room or TV room. And then you went in the kitchen. Right, you had like a little kitchen, a little dining area. And then there was a bedroom, two bedrooms downstairs, bathroom. And then there was an upstairs attic, which was kind of converted into like a bed, two bedrooms or whatever. So the AC was in the sitting room. There was also a furnace in this house. But again, if you weren't in the room the furnace was in, which was in like the TV room, then the rest of the rooms were cold. And we didn't put window units in every single room. We couldn't afford that. So at night, you'd put like a fan in your door trying to blow the cold air into your bedroom or whatever so you didn't have to sleep in the heat. But I just remember being hot a lot as a kid, man. And I grew up watching, basketball. I grew up watching Michael Jordan. He was my favorite basketball player growing up. Everybody wanted to be like Mike, and my name's, I think y'all know that. So, yeah, he was, but I didn't idolize him. Like, he was just my favorite basketball player for good reason. Because to me, he's the GOAT. Not only because he was a great player, but he kind of put NBA on a global scale. Back then, yeah, basketball was played in other countries, but it wasn't global like Mike made it. And I mean, there's videos like everybody's, either Kobe was great too. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Mike. And then a lot of people say LeBron is the greatest, right? And I feel like it's the generation, right? The younger generations, they say LeBron is better than Mike. And LeBron's a very athletic, very gifted individual for his size and his speed and the way he can move. That's 100%. Not taking that away from him. But I can show you some clips of things Michael did that LeBron's never done. LeBron will never do at this point. And there was a game against the Knicks where Mike had the ball on the left baseline, and he's being covered by John Starks and Oakley. And their Knick teams are good. Like I don't, back in the because a lot of people was like Mike didn't play nobody back then. Mike, that's not true at all. But he had the ball on the baseline, and he's driving, and he spins. He doubles back left, and then spins right, and goes by Starks, goes around Oakley, and dunks on Ewing. I'm gonna post this on my social media so y'all can see this. That right there, that was one of the best. I mean, I ain't never seen LeBron. LeBron don't do nothing like that. And I ain't saying LeBron is maybe not capable, but LeBron would have took because Mike. I'm sure there was a lot of contact. LeBron would have laid down like he got shot. LeBron gets fouled. He gets poked in the eye or whatever, and my man will fall on the ground and lay there for 10 minutes. And it's like, come on, dude, just get the hell up off the ground. It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. People look at that guy like he's our GOAT. That guy, man, when he lays down, I want to draw like chalk lines around his body like they used to outline dead bodies on the street. It's like, come on, man. That dude will flop and fall and flop like a fish. But I think that's the NBA nowadays, though. I just think that's a product of that's what's out there. And they're all shooting like half court jump shots now. So it's crazy. The game's evolved a lot, I don't know if I'd say it evolved. That would mean that it, I guess, got better. It's just no defense anymore. It's all, everybody's scoring 150 points a game. And football's kind of going in that direction too because they put so many rules in for defense. It's like you can't do anything. But they want these high scoring games, and I guess that's what they think the fans want. I'm old school. I like defense. I don't want to see a bunch of high scoring games. I want to see guys run the ball. I want to see hard hits. I want to see balls getting jarred loose on a hit and interceptions and fumbles. No, you don't get none of that anymore because you're not allowed to hit. You got to play flag. I played flag. I had me and a group of friends. Not all of us were close. Like we played flag football together. We played in very competitive flag football leagues, and now they're gonna make flag an Olympic sport. And I'm like, man, where was this 15 years ago? But we played. I played for like 9 years straight, man, and it definitely took a toll on my body, my knees, my ankles, my feet, my hips, my hands, my fingers been broke. But man, that was some of the best times, going out there. I love competition, man. I love sports. I love compete. So, uh, yeah, those were good times, man. We'd play. There's one league we played in, man. Sometimes we play, Friday, Saturday nights. Some of the games be late, like 11 o'clock at night. I remember we used to play outdoors. We played in a tournament one time, man, in the middle of August. It was, God, it was so hot. And then they got the outside lights on, so that's more heat. Now I think we played like 4 games back to back. Man, I felt like my groin was like didn't exist anymore. I was in so much pain from all that running and zigging. See, a lot of people think flag football is like, man, it's just flags, no contact. That's not true. And it's a fast game because it's played on a smaller field, and you got to be pretty athletic. You got to be pretty nimble, like light on your feet. So anybody don't believe it, like people see me now, like back then I was like 230, man. I played QB, I played safety, I play on the line. I pretty much did every position on the field. It didn't matter what it was, I could do it. But mainly I played QB and either DB or linebacker. Some safety. I play safety every once in a while. But it's a smaller field, right? But I was pretty quick on my feet for a guy that was 230, and I'm only like 5'10" on a good day. So and so but yeah, most of the guys we played with, we all worked out together. We was all in the gym together. So, we and I took it serious, man. Some guys didn't. I mean, we played teams down there, they'd be eating pizza, drinking beer for the game, and they'd go out there and would light it up, man, play their ass off. I'd go in the gym, man, on days when I was doing like my dynamics. I was always trying to get my speed and my conditioning up. And I'd go in the gym and I'd take like 20%. I'd take my body weight plus 20% and I would squat. I would do like reps of 20. And then I'd go out there and run a quarter mile. So I'd squat 20, sprint. And when I say run, I'm talking about sprint. I'd try to hit a sprint of a quarter mile on the treadmill. And I'd probably do that for like 8, 10, 12 sets. And that would be, pretty much the workout. Or I'd go to the track and I would, do quarter mile sprints, run the stairs with the weighted vest on, run hill. We ran hills a lot, backpedal up hills. Man, we did a lot. I did a lot, man, to stay in condition. Shit, I never had no damn 6-pack ass back then either. And I was eating good back then. I wasn't eating sweets a lot and doing all that. I was eating fruit. I was eating clean, veggies, protein, a lot of lean protein. Shit, I still never had no 6-pack. It's just genetically, I guess just wasn't in my cards. You know what I'm saying? I had one big ab, and my abs are tight now. Not as tight as it used to be, but it's still pretty hard. Oh, also, man, somebody asked about my shirts. A lot of these shirts are conquering barbell. If you go on Instagram, Facebook, uh, he's a good guy. The guy makes these, and he's a powerlifter competitor, and he started this conquering barbell club. So a lot of my shirts I wear from him, and I wear a lot of Live Large shirts. It's just comfortable. The material's pretty good. I like black, as you know. Every shirt I wear is black. Black makes you look slim. It's a slimming color for those of you trying to look a little slim. Black makes you look small. White makes you look bigger. Like you take the same shoe and put it on in white and black. That white shoe is gonna look like a ski sled. They're gonna look like a pair of water skis on your feet. So I don't know if anybody's ever had gout. My dad suffered from gout for years. My mom's mom suffered from gout, and I've had it a few times. I had it this week, and it's still bothering me. It's in my knee, and so I had my annual checkup this week, and we always draw blood when we do my like any other annual checkup. You always draw blood, so we're see if we can get this taken care of. Because man, I don't know if anybody's ever had gout or know somebody that's had gout. It is painful. It is painful as hell. Hurts like hell. And so They say tart cherry juice, man. I've been drinking that shit this weekend like it's the last thing on earth. And they gave me you can take not anabolic steroids, prednisone, stuff like that. Kind of helps with the the inflammation. I wish steroids would help with inflation, but unfortunately, steroids ain't helping with that. Uh, Speaking of inflation, man, like I seen recently, like Trump and Elon Musk are kind of going at it on Twitter or the X. Man, is that the state that we're in? Right? Like this guy served on Trump's board or the Doge board or whatever the hell it was, and now these guys, like our president of the United States, the president of the free world, is arguing on some social media platform. Is that where we are right now as a society? Like, do presidents in other countries do that? I don't know. I mean, do the leaders of other countries get on the X? Like, wouldn't it be nice if, say, like Palestine and Israel, like maybe they just fought on the X instead of like fighting in person? Wouldn't the world be such a better place? I guess and stuff. It's just funny, man, that these people, these leaders, these that they get on social media and they start like airing out everybody's dirty underwear. It's like it's kind of like a scorn, like when you're in a relationship with someone and you're like, man, they're so great, and then as soon as the relationship's over, oh, I couldn't stand them. They did this. It's like all of a sudden now you want to air out all their flaws, right? And that's not the way things should be, but. Yeah, if you're hiding secrets from a political standpoint, yeah, you're gonna get called out on that shit if the relationship ever, if the uh, if the business relationship or whatever ever goes south, yeah, they're gonna air all that out. So I don't know. I've been seeing a lot. I don't like talk about a lot of politics. I think that's ridiculous though that our president of our country and another guy who served for him on some cabinet board or whatever it was called on social media, kind of going back and forth and making accusations and uh, I don't know. I think it's funny. I try not to take it too serious, that stuff too serious, but I mean, you got to. I mean, this guy's the leader. This guy's the president of the United States, man. And you're up there um, arguing on social media. It's just, you can't help it. You kind of laugh, but at the same time, it's kind of sad. So, um, but anyway, uh, everything's been good. Hope everybody else is good. Um, I need to get back on track, get back into walking a little bit more. I took some time off, got close to the end of the month of May, and had took a few weeks off or a week off from walking. But we still, raised money, hit the goal. That was a good thing. And now, uh, May is, I guess, every month something, right? Like May was Mental Health Awareness Month. June is supposed to be like Men's Mental Health Month or something, but it's also Pride Month. So I feel like every month, every day, every week, it's like it's always something else, right? So I guess it's whatever you want to participate in. Um, I don't know. It's whatever people want to participate in. A lot of people. I see a lot of comments about pride, gay pride month. A lot of sports leagues celebrate it. Talking about gay pride, it's like a lot of people are like, man, why do they need a month to celebrate gay pride? Why do we need a month for Black History Month? Black history is American history. Why do we need a month for this and a month for that? And I think it's just uh, because people who are, people who are gay, right? They get, um, there were jobs that were like, well, I'm not hiring them. They're gay, right? And uh, things like that. So it's to bring awareness that those type of things happen. These people are or these people go through that, type of thing, and uh, it's to say, hey, they should be. Let's treat everybody like people. And some people are like, well, if they don't want to be treated no different, then don't talk about gay pride, right? I got How about American pride? This is my pride flag, American flag, and we don't need a rainbow flag and this, that, and the other. It's like, man, some people get too offended too easily. You don't have to participate if you don't want to, but you don't have to be an asshole to people either. Just it's like I hear a lot of people like, oh, they're indoctrinating our children, teaching them that it's they're going to be gay. No, that's not how that works. I mean, teach people to accept people for who they are, and recognize that everybody's different, right? That's what it's about. It's like, no, they're forcing my child. My child's going to think it's okay. Well, if your child came home and said, say your child's an adult, they come home and say, hey, uh, I'm going to let you know I'm gay, right? You going to disown them? Would you do that to your own child? Because your child never stops being your child, even as an adult. I don't. At least that's my opinion. I don't care. Your kid will never stop being your kid. Moms never stop being moms, and dads never stop being dads, and that's just how it is. But gay pride. If you're gay, yeah, be proud. You should be able to, and not be, not have someone commit a crime against you because you're gay, or not get a job because you're gay, or not be allowed to eat at an establishment because you're gay, right? That's kind of what it's about. At least to me, that's what I think about it. Then a lot of people turn around, well, what about, white people pride or American people pride? I mean, we celebrate a lot of things in this country that are aimed at white Americans, right? I feel like there's a lot of things we celebrate. Um, yeah, I remember people talk about racism. It's like, well, racism is never going away as long as we keep talking about it. And I remember a conversation with Mike Wallace and Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman's like, I want to stop referring to you as the white guy, Mike Wallace. You stop referring to me as black man, Morgan Freeman. I'm Morgan Freeman. You're Mike Wallace. And I remember Mike Wallace said, do you want a black history? He's like, no, black history is American history. And then he asked Mike Wallace, you want a white history month or whatever? He's like, well, I'm Jewish. He's like, well, do you want a Jewish history month? He said, no, I don't. He kind of made a point. I mean, he kind of made a good point there, you know. Um, but the to me, the people that grew up when like Jim Crow laws and all these things were in effect. I mean, that was back in the a lot of that the civil rights movement from the '60s. Yeah, I think that was 60 years ago, man. Some of these people are still alive. Like they were teaching their kids, you know, these racist, hateful ways. And I mean, essentially to me, until those people are gone, they're not here anymore. That's the only way racism is going to end. It's not going to end. And then unfortunately, a lot of those people teach their kids too, and it just goes around and around. And there's racism from everywhere. And um, most people when you think racism, they just think black and white, but that's not true. Like when COVID hit and Trump was calling it the China disease. I mean, how do you think people that were Asian, no matter if you were like Cambodian or Vietnamese or Korean or Asian or Chinese or Japanese, where everybody was the same. It's kind of like Latino or Hispanic. Like we call everybody, oh, they're all Mexicans. No, they're not all Mexicans. They're Salvadorians. They're from Puerto Rico. They're not all Mexicans, right? So it's like very a generalized thing. And people make comments, right? Like people say things, oh, this person did that because they're Mexican. Well, you don't know that they're Mexican. Well, they don't speak English, so that's why they, do what they do, right? No, that shit ain't true. There is ethnic differences. That is 100% truth. But um, that has nothing to do with like that shouldn't affect your ability to get a job. Now, if you're a lot of people are like, well, If I'm trying to hire a job and I get 20 people applying and only two of them are black and one's Asian, one's, Hispanic, whatever, the chance of me hiring a white guy or girl or woman is going to be higher because there's more to pick from, right? And that may be true, but what do we do? How can we stop that, right? We got to encourage these other people to like, hey, man, apply for these jobs, go for these jobs. But you got to do that because because companies aren't hiring these people. So I just feel like they're not going to hire me. I'm not even going to try. Well, we got to break that stigma, right? And a lot of times the government would like, I've heard like companies say, well, we got a quota to meet, right? So we have to hire so many different people from different ethnicities, and we got to, and I mean, really, everybody's like, well, the government shouldn't be forcing people to do that. And that was one of the things I think Trump was like trying to eliminate when he came into office, is like diversity and equality, right? And everybody's like, well, the company shouldn't be forced to do that. You're right. The government shouldn't have to have had to force the fucking company to do that. They should have been doing that all along. But because they chose not to, now somebody has to step in and be like, look, guys, what you guys are doing is wrong. Like you only hire white people. You don't hire nobody else. Like for instance, for this is just an example. Should the government have to step in and say, hey, you can't do this? Like they shouldn't have to, but somebody had to. I know like in the NFL they have a Rooney rule. It basically says they have to interview, you know, they have to interview coaches, somebody that's black or minority. But then it doesn't mean they got hired. So it's like I'm just checking a box. That's lame as shit. We're just gonna interview this guy. We know we're not gonna hire him, but we're gonna interview him anyway just to check the box that says we have to. Y'all nobody sees the problem in that? Like that's a problem. And for every person that tells me, oh, this happens because they're black or because they're Mexican or they're Chinese or whatever. White guys ain't never blew buildings up. They ain't never shot nobody before, I guess, huh? They never raped nobody. They've never sexually assaulted no one. Like this whole like, oh, the crime went up in the country because of all the illegals. Well, what about all the people that are legal? What about all the crimes they commit? Like there wasn't an influx. It's all bullshit. It's all propaganda. It's all a lot of people need to do their own research, right? Don't listen to the media. Don't do your own research, right? There are media outlets out there that are respectable. Find them, and let's let's come up with our own information. So anyway, man, I got back on my soapbox again, but it's like me and a buddy of mine, we were talking the other day. He's like, man, I ran into such and such, and we used to ride around town, have like water gun wars, right, in our cars and our trucks. And there was these guys. They were brothers and they were cousins, right? They all kind of hung out together, and everybody thought they were just like rough, tough, tumble guys. Don't mess with them. They don't smile. They don't crack jokes. They don't do. You don't want to mess with them guys. And I remember, man, we was riding around town, one weekend, cruising the strip, and those guys happened to be out, and they wanted to be involved with the water gun fights. It was like, wait a minute, these guys? Yeah, man, yeah. And dude, once I knew that, like, because I just looked at what everybody else told me instead of taking the time to get to know them and learn about them myself, man, we still talk about that to this day. We'll run into them. Like, man, you remember when we had the super soakers and we ride, man, I had a truck, my truck back then had a cap on it. My buddy be riding in the bed. He'd open that damn camper top window up, man, with a super soaker fucking 8,000. Looked like a fire truck hose on the back of that thing. Man, it's good times, man. I wish people could do stuff like that anymore, but you can't because I feel like if you did, somebody would shoot your ass for real. Somebody would put a cap in you. It's sad. It's sad, man, that we can't just be innocent anymore. Like it's sad that you can't let your kids play in your front yard anymore without the worry of someone shooting them or kidnapping them or, um, getting beat up by the other kids in the neighborhood. And it's like nobody just has a disagreement and gets it out of their system and then moves on anymore. It's people take people's lives. Kids take kids' lives more often than we realize. And it's sad. because most of the time it's over not something worth losing, not worth losing your life over, man. And the world was a I feel like a simple place, and it's not anymore. And it's hard, man, for people that like raise kids in this world, and you kind of like, man, hopefully I can give my child, people say hopefully we can give our kids, or we give our youth the the information, right, to make the right decisions and do the right things in certain situations, and just hope that they do. Uh, just hope that you give them the tools to succeed, man, because it's not a world. Life is not easy, and um, things are expensive, man. Like a lot of people live at home, and it's like, yeah, I mean, even in areas where the cost of living is supposed to be, cost of living. Oh, it's cheap to live there. It's no such thing. It's not cheap to live anywhere. Houses $500,000. You know how much money you have to make to buy a $500,000 home? You know how much money you have to make to buy a $300,000 home, especially these days. So I don't blame people are younger and they want to stay at home, live with their parents longer. I ain't, man. Why do we think that of our families? It's like you're a loser. You live at home with your parents. Like I get it. You get to a point in life where you probably should move out, get your own. But it doesn't mean just because you live with family doesn't mean you're not, self sufficient. Like you can still cook and do your own laundry and do all those things, but I think I feel like our culture is the one that started that. Other cultures, family's family, man. Like they all live together. They all live close. And my family's kind of like we're all pretty close. Now we have our disagreements and stuff at times, but um, I don't know, man. I had a lot on my mind this week. I felt like a lot of things to say, and maybe I ain't said nothing. Who knows? Um, but how about we get into some mailbag, man? What y'all think about that? Also,
for more awesome content, like and subscribe.
like and subscribe right now. Right now. You. Like. If you watch this, like and subscribe. Comment. Get involved. Open my mailbag. Y'all remember? Did any of y'all ever watch like 80s show? The 80s music, like that old synthwave music, man. Y'all remember stuff like this? Y'all remember stuff like this, man? Like, does anybody like this, man? I love this type of music. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway,
Camera.
boom! Open mic mailbag. Let's go. One man, one mic, one mission. Man, how? Hold on. Oh no, never mind. I laugh at myself sometimes. Oh shit. Let's check out some emails. Damn. Mini truck throwback Mazda memories. Hey Mike, when you bought up your '93 Mazda B2200, man, I had flashbacks. Mine was slammed with two 10-inch subs behind the seat. Oh shit. Technical difficulties here. That's not gonna stay up. Oh my god. See, I ain't, man. We have some technical difficulties here. We had to get things right. What the hell is on that screen? Oh, the damn smoke detector reflecting in the window right there. Let's try this again. Old Mike Melbad, mini truck throwback subject, Mazda memories. Hey Mike, when you brought up your '93 Mazda B2200, man, I had flashbacks. Mine was slammed with 210-inch studs behind the seat and a cracked dash I never fixed. I didn't care. It was my pride and joy. Thanks for keeping the air alive. Mini trucks forever, brother. Jay from Chesapeake. Oh, Chesapeake, man. Jay, appreciate the love. Yes, sir, man. I love my mini truck. Working on it every day. I was working on it this week, man. Show coming up this weekend. Getting some things ready. Crunch time tomorrow. It might rain this weekend though, so the show might get rained out. But Jay from Chesapeake, glad we could vibe, man. Glad we can go down memory lane. Let's see. Here we go. Letting kids be kids. Hose water and street lights. Yo, Mike. I talk about letting kids be kids hit hard. I remember when summers meant drinking hose water, riding bikes without helmets, and knowing it was time to go home. The street lights came on. Kids today got iPads. We had skin knees. Thanks for the nostalgia, Nicole W. Nicole, appreciate you. Let's do the show. Yeah, man, we came home when the street lights came on. Some of us. We definitely had skin knees, man. I remember one time I was on a bike. Handlebars were kind of loose. And I come to the top of the hill, man. We was all riding. I saw this big hill. I was like, oh, hell yeah, man, this big ass hill. Well, at the bottom of the hill, so the hill come down like this, and at the bottom, it was like a 3-foot straight nosedive drop off. Not good. That bike, my bike didn't have brakes either. I didn't have hand brakes or the like pedal brakes. Man, I went flying down that hill and realized when you ever see those memes and you go to the bottom and you get there and it pauses and it was like, at this point, he knew he effed up. And, or it's like, dumb ways to die. Anyway, I nosedive off that damn thing and the handlebars are loose. My arms shot over the front like that, man. And I came off racked my damn my boys down on the bar right there, and that bike was like sailing, and then it just flipped, and man, I hit my head. I'm certain I had a concussion. I was concussed like hell. But yeah, we didn't wear helmets, we didn't wear knee pads, we didn't wear none of that stuff. Even like friends of mine that were skateboarding back in them days, we didn't wear none of that crap. It's like, man, and think of how many concussions we had. How many concussions I had playing football too, but yeah, man, we like to go down memory lane on the Open Mic podcast. So, Nicole W., I appreciate you emailing. Appreciate you listening. Here we go. Mental health matters. Subject: quiet struggles. Hey, Mike, appreciate you being open about anxiety and how we all deal with it. Some of us are out here smiling on the outside and battling heavy stuff on the inside. Just want to say thanks for that. Thanks for making that feel normal to talk about, anonymous listener. So, yeah, man. Hey, I'm very open when it comes to that because I've struggled for years and I don't want people to have to struggle and um you know deal with the things I went through, thinking that you had to do it on your own or you had to keep it bottled up inside, because eventually it just ate me up, man. It just ate me up, and eventually it takes over and it controls you, and you can't let it. I mean, there was times, man, I'd be driving home from work like on the highway, and my anxiety would be so bad to pull over and couldn't, like, just froze up, couldn't drive. Man, I'd have to call somebody come pick me up. And then there was times you'd feel like you're a stranger. I mean, not a stranger, a prisoner to your home, a prisoner to your anxiety and your fears. And trust me, man, I've been down that road, and that's no way to live. So anybody going through that, I'm telling you, man, reach out to me. I will help you. I will help you because I've been there, and I still suffer from it. And I still know what it's like, and it's not good. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So, um, anybody, anybody going through that, man, reach out to me. Reach out to me, and I'll help you through it. So, before we go, my birthday is coming up, uh, and I will be 49. 49. I've been on this earth for 49 rotations, and I usually throw a little party or whatever at an arcade. And I don't know if I'm gonna do that this year. I'd like to. I'd like to invite, people out, and I may still do that, but it's getting close now. So usually I would plan that thing out, and I don't know. This year I just didn't. I just didn't. Uh, so I. Oh my God, Zelle is not a scam, man. Facebook. Some guy's trying to buy something from Facebook Marketplace. Some car parts I have, and he's like, "My Facebook says Zelle is a scam. Zelle is not a scam. It's linked through your bank account. Literally, it's like on my app, my banking app. People, because the guy was trying to pay with Venmo. Venmo is a scam. Like if anybody, you ever deal with someone they want to use Venmo, I don't use Venmo. So anyway, so yeah, I might end up just hitting up an arcade, man, and just kind of going down memory lane by myself. There's one I went in not long ago. It was called Reclaimed Arcade. And you walk in, and it looks like an old video store from like the 80s and the 90s on the outside. And when you walk in, it's like you walk into a video store. And then you walk through this area, it's like a living room. It's got like the old plaid and like wood furniture and like the velvet. I don't know if people remember like the velvet paintings on the wall. And then they got like Atari and Nintendo, all these things set up in this entertainment center. It just feels like you walk through it felt like you went through a time machine when you walk in there, and it's pretty cool. There's one here locally to me too that's pretty cool. Doesn't have kind of that same vibe. It's like they try these arcades nowadays. They try to create that vibe, but it's just not. It's just not there, man. I don't know. We're gonna get through this. But yeah, these arcades, man, the vibe just isn't the same, man. I don't know. It's like it's something about putting quarters in, having to cash out your money, and you do all that. And but anyway, birthday's coming up. Uh, I'm very fortunate for everything I have. Very fortunate for everybody I have in my life. Um, I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at in my life. I try not to take anything for granted, man. All the people that are in my life, they know who they are. They know what they mean to me. My family. And I'm just very very fortunate for the people who have come in and out of my life over the years that may not be in my life anymore, whether they chose to walk out or whether I chose that they weren't there. But you know what? They served a purpose in my life because they were important at that time when they were in my life and they came into my life for a reason. And so everybody that's been in and out of my life, I've learned lessons, I've learned things from them, I've learned things from every situation, from all relationships, from everything. And I don't regret anything I've ever done in my life. I don't regret decisions I've made. And I think everybody should live that way. And I think when we get to a point where we can live that way, man, our lives will be a lot better and a lot simpler. And we understand that things work out. Sometimes things don't work out, and we gotta move on. We can't let our past haunt us, and we can't dwell on it. We can only move forward, and we just try to keep on keeping on, man, and just keep your head up, man. Everybody, keep your head up. Keep striving to be better, man. Every day above ground is a good day, and it's another day to be better than you were yesterday. And remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Peace.